Welcome back to Living in the Pacific Northwest with Hal Byrd. I'm Hal Byrd, and on today's video, we are going to be sharing 8 reasons not to move to Vancouver, Washington. So if that's something you're interested in, stay tuned. For those of you who are new here, my name is Hal Byrd. I'm a licensed realtor and relocation expert in the Pacific Northwest, specializing in helping people move to the Southwest Washington area and the Portland metro area in the Northwest. I'm licensed in both Oregon and Washington and would be happy to talk to you if you're considering relocating here and you have questions or want to see if it's a good fit. I can definitely help you buy, sell, or invest in the Pacific Northwest. So make sure to shoot me a text at 360-818-4438. You can also email me, follow me on Instagram, or schedule Zoom with me. All of that info is in the description box below. The reason that this channel exists is because my husband and I relocated ourselves almost 5 years ago, and there were no resources like this channel out there, and we really took a little bit of a leap of faith in moving to Vancouver because we didn't know that much about it, and we are so thankful and happy that we did because we love this community, we love the people, we love the business owners, we love the experiences that we've had here, and now we want to share it with you and help you on your relocation journey. Whether you're looking to move to the Pacific Northwest or just within the region, I'd be happy to help you in any way that I can. So without further ado, let's jump into this topic. These reasons are in no particular order. We're going to start with reason number 1, which is don't move here if you want to be the majority. And what I mean by that is don't move here if you want everyone around you to think like you, if you want the place that you live to have very homogenous views. And I'm talking about politics and culture. You know, these days politics are so emotionally charged, and everything that's culture, like related to American culture these days, can have some political inferences or interpretations or opinions that not everyone is going to think like you. Vancouver is very balanced politically. It's a purple city. So if you're looking to live somewhere where everyone is conservative minded or Republican, or if you're looking to move somewhere where everyone is liberal minded and Democrat, you're just not going to find that here in the city of Vancouver specifically. And I bring this up because I have a lot of people who reach out to me that are relocating, and they want to get out of very homogenous areas when it comes to viewpoints. I see it on both sides that people are looking to get out of areas where the political and cultural views are very homogenous and looking to find somewhere that has more diverse cultural and political views. So the key word here is balance. If you'd like us to do a video about how living in the Pacific Northwest can lead to a more balanced lifestyle, please let me know in the comments below. This brings us to point number 2, which is diversity overall, and this can be cultural and religious diversity. The Pacific Northwest is not the most diverse place that I've ever lived. You can look at census.gov to see all sorts of detailed stats about the diversity of any area, really. That being said, while it's not the most diverse place, it really hasn't affected my life on a day-to-day basis, and I find that the people that I encounter are some of the most friendly and welcoming and neighborly people that I've personally ever been around. So diversity may be a reason for you not to move here if that's extremely high on your list. And if you want to know more about mine and my husband's personal experience when it comes to racial diversity, I will link our video here about being Black in the Evergreen State. So I would highly encourage watching that video to hear more about mine and my husband's personal experience living in Washington State. Number 3 is weather. And there's a couple different aspects to weather when it comes to reasons not to move here. Our summer weather, if anything, is a reason to move here because it is so nice in the summer. But the Pacific Northwest obviously has a reputation of being very rainy and gray. And so when people are concerned about the weather, that's typically what they are most concerned about when it comes to relocating here. So I want to touch on the rainfall in terms of days and inches for several major cities in the US so that you can kind of get a reference point as to like where the Portland metro area is in terms of rainfall. So LA gets 34 days of rain per year and 14 inches. That's gonna be the lowest one that I'm mentioning. San Francisco gets 71 days and 23 inches. So we're getting a little bit more up there for those of you that might be coming from the Bay Area. I recently had a former Californian tell me that they feel that the weather here is like the Bay Area weather used to be decades and decades ago when they were growing up. Next is Austin. There are a lot of people who are looking at the Portland area versus Texas and Florida, and so I wanted to mention some of those areas too. So Austin, Texas gets 86 days of rain and 36 inches of rainfall. Tampa, so now we're going to Florida. Tampa, Florida gets 108 days of precipitation and 50 inches of rain. Spoiler alert, Portland gets less than 50 inches of rain. And then Nashville. Nashville is also a very popular area to relocate to, and somewhere that I don't think people would really think, oh, this is a super rainy place, but it gets 153 days of precipitation and 51 inches of rain. Now, Portland gets 163 days of precipitation and 43 inches of rain, so less than Tampa and Nashville. So yes, we do get rain. There's no surprise there. For my husband and I, we found that it was actually less rain than we expected. We expected it to be like at least half the year, 8 to 9 months of the year, to be just constantly dark and rainy, and that really hasn't been the case. We get our rain more over an extended period of time. I don't know, we really like it. It's cozy. You know, there's so much light in the summer and things to do and activities that it's kind of nice to nest in the winter for us, and we're homebodies anyway. So we personally enjoy the weather, and know many of our clients do as well. That's something that they were actually looking forward to, coming from places that were incredibly hot or had a extensive wildfire season. It really depends on how you look at it. In the northern latitudes, I've heard about 10% of people are affected by SAD, which is a seasonal affective disorder. It basically means that you're not getting enough vitamin D, and it affects your mood and can cause seasonal depression. And you can definitely get a lamp like this one to help if you have difficulty in the winter. And I always recommend to clients who are very concerned about experiencing SAD to plan your tropical vacations for January and February, just to make sure that you're kind of breaking up the season if it's going to be difficult for you. And it's not difficult for everyone, but it can be for some. I also had a potential client ask me once if it was dark and gray for weeks at a time, and that's really not the case. So we still see sun in the winter. It's not gray every day. We just do have more gray days, like today is one of those gray days. The other aspect of weather that's worth noting is that it does get darker earlier in the winter. So sunset will typically be around 4:30 at the height of winter, or at the start of winter when it's the darkest, because every day of the year approaching the winter solstice, December 21st, the days get shorter and shorter and shorter. The sun's setting earlier, it gets dark earlier. But then once we pass December 21st, every day is getting longer and lighter, leading up to the summer solstice, June 21st, which is the longest day of the year. And around that time of year, the sun doesn't set until 9:30 at night, which is why we have so many great activities and fun things to do in the summer. Even if you're working full time, you know, you can still get off work and spend time with your kids or your friends or your family. And I don't know, it's such a nice balance to me, which I guess goes back to the video that I've already hinted we should probably be making about how the Pacific Northwest leads to such a balanced life. And it feels very balanced, and we get to enjoy every different season. I don't know, I've really loved it as someone who grew up in Southern California and was used to sun most days of the year. So if having a healthy amount of gray skies and rain and early sunsets is a big turnoff and a no-go for you, then you might not want to relocate here. Next is cost of living. Vancouver, Washington is cheaper than many major cities and suburbs around the country, but it is slightly more expensive than the national average. So it really depends on where you're coming from. If you're coming from a lower cost of living area in the Midwest, the West Coast is going to feel extremely expensive to you. But if you're moving from somewhere like the Bay Area or New York, things are going to seem a lot more affordable. So this is very much a reference point. If you want to know what the actual costs of things are here, you can reference my most recent cost of living video right here. You can also go to bestplaces.net and you can type in the current city that you live in and any city that you're considering relocating to, and it will give you a cost comparison. Now, I find a lot of those figures to be out of date, but the good thing is if you're just comparing two cities, they should be equally out of date. So I really encourage you to watch my video if you want the most recent stats on what it costs to live here. And then it's also worth noting that inflation is a nationwide issue that is causing difficulty and increased prices for everyone, everywhere. If you're moving from a lower cost of living area, the cost of living here alone could be a reason not to move here. Okay, on to number 5, proximity and travel. We have less direct flights than a lot of major metro areas. Portland is the 25th largest metro area, which means that there are 24 other metros with more people, and that supply and demand when it comes to business means that those areas are going to get more direct flights. And also if they are hubs for certain airlines. So think places like Chicago and Dallas and Atlanta and New York and Los Angeles. You're going to have more direct flights when you live in those places. You may want to see if there are direct flights available, and also check year-round, because some direct flights can be seasonal out of Portland. We're in the very northwest part of the country, and so we're a little bit out of the way, which also means that driving might not be the most feasible depending on how far you have to go. So proximity and travel may be a reason that you might not want to move here. Number 6 is healthcare services. I think that this is a phenomenon that is across the country, since our healthcare workers have been stretched so thin over the past few years. But I just want people to be aware that it can take time to get an appointment, and I've heard from feedback from multiple clients that the healthcare system here isn't as responsive as they would like. And I can give a couple examples of this. I have a client's daughter-in-law who lives here, and her grandparents are planning to relocate here and live with their family. The only reason that they cannot relocate right now is because they cannot get a seat at a dialysis center. They're all full. And so until they can find a seat or a dialysis center that will take them on, they are medically unable to move here. Last year, my husband had a severe sprain and fracture to his ankle when we were running, and getting follow-up appointments at the ortho was extremely difficult, pretty close to impossible. It's been a challenge navigating that, and I've heard that from several other people. You definitely want to look into that if you have any serious health needs or problems that might need specific care. You want to look into that beforehand. Number 7 is food and entertainment choices. Now, Portland is one of the best foodie towns in the country. It's been reported in multiple publications like these ones here that it's a great foodie town, and it is. Vancouver has many gems of restaurants, places like The Cove and Amaro's and Thai Orchid, Lindo Restaurante. Those are some of our favorite restaurants in town, but it doesn't quite have the diversity and depth in terms of either what I've heard some people say as really good quality or just new cutting edge restaurants. And you're just not gonna find that in a town, at least of our size, of 200,000 people, when Portland is 15 minutes away. And if someone's going to open a restaurant like that, they have a better chance of succeeding if they're on the Portland side of the Columbia River than on the Vancouver side. There are some really important restaurant business owners here in our community, and we love to support them. So my personal experience has been that I don't mind driving 15 to 20 minutes into Portland if there's a restaurant that I heard about mostly on Instagram that I just have to have. So as someone who considers myself a foodie and is also a vegetarian, so I have dietary restrictions that do affect where and what I eat, I don't have any problem. I love going to Crust Collective. I really like Dos Alas at the waterfront. Elements is really good for fine dining in downtown Vancouver. I enjoy Laughing Planet or Freshie when I want something healthy. Amaro's Table is great. I love Killer Burger. They have a great vegan black bean patty. So, I mean, I personally don't have any issues finding things. Taste of China is great for Chinese food. Thai Orchid is great. I don't want you to think that if you move here, you're not going to have any food options, or you're only going to be able to eat at chains and places like, I don't want to throw any particular restaurants under the bus, but let's just say boring chain restaurants. That is not the only thing that is on offer here. There are plenty of locally owned restaurants that are doing really good things with their menus and food and being innovative, and I don't ever feel like I have to go into Portland if I want to get good food, whether that's eating in at a restaurant or taking out, but there are definitely more options in Portland. If that's a deal breaker for you, part of my job as a realtor who specializes in relocations is to help set your expectations when you move here. And that doesn't just stop at the housing options or, where you might buy a property. It also extends to setting your expectations across a variety of categories, and food is one of them. So I want to set your expectations because if you relocate here, I do want you to be happy with the choice that you've made. But if you just absolutely have to have the best foodie scene in America, maybe Vancouver, Washington isn't going to be the place for you. Our last reason that you might not want to move here, number 8, is that the services can be more expensive. And I've heard this mostly from other former Californians, that services like hair salons, nail salons, contractors, painters, veterinary services seem to be more expensive. And someone in a Facebook group that I'm in gave an understandable justification in that because our population in the city of Vancouver is smaller, there's not as much competition. So while overall the cost of living in this area is cheaper for many people coming from larger cities, this area specifically, the service industry, tends to surprise my clients more than other things in terms of what they cost. Also, I'm always curating my list of quality and affordable contractors. So if you ever need a recommendation or referral, please reach out to me, and my contact info is here and in the description box. So I hope you enjoy this video as much as I like sharing this information with you. In doing this video, it did remind me of a quote from one of my favorite shows, Yellowstone, where Casey Denton says, "These transplants sure can make ice cream." And his son, Tate, asks, "What's a transplant?" And Casey responds, "It's a person who moves to a place and then tries to make that place just like the place they left." So that being said, we all have things that we love about the places that we have previously lived or left or have nostalgia about. But the point of this video is to let you know some reasons you might not want to move here, and also to encourage you to embrace the area that you are going into. So with that being said, if you are considering a move to or within anywhere in Southwest Washington and the Portland metro area, I would be happy to have a conversation with you to see if it would be a good fit to work together, and also to answer your questions that you might not get out of these videos. I love helping my clients work through what neighborhoods would be the best for them. I really get a lot out of helping you all and love what I do, and so I'd be happy to help you with your next relocation. If you're looking to buy, sell, or invest in the Pacific Northwest, make sure to shoot me a text, 360-818-4438. That's all for now. Ciao.